Imagine a dessert with all of the indulgence and none of the guilt. We're talking about keto dessert. Keto desserts are sugar-free and high in good fat. I got all of these nutritious and nourishing ingredients from Basil Bandwagon Natural Market. Let's run through what they are. So here we have some flaked sea salt. This is gonna look really pretty on top of the fudge. I'm using carob powder. I'm just a huge carob fan. It's rich in magnesium, so it has a calming effect and no caffeine. However, if you're a chocolate purist and you want to use cocoa powder, that's totally fine. We have some organic cocoa powder here and a few different options when it comes to chocolate. You can also use cacao powder. This one happens to be fermented. And here's another variation of cacao powder. So lots of good options if you really want that chocolatey taste. For our sweetener, since we're not using sugar, I'm going to use Sweetleaf Sweet Drops. This is a form of stevia. It's a liquid form of stevia sweetener. This is the vanilla cream flavor. If you're not using the vanilla cream flavor and you want to just use regular stevia liquid, then you would just have to add a little bit of vanilla. I'd say maybe a half teaspoon to the whole batch. For the almond butter, we're using sprouted almond butter, but you could also use regular almond butter if you like. You could even use peanut butter, but I just love almond butter. It has such a nice sweet taste to it. And the sprouting helps to make it more digestible. I've got some regular sea salt here that we're going to be using in the fudge. And then I have some extra almond butter that's going to be in the topping. Here I have some organic virgin coconut oil, and this is going to give a nice, rich, creamy taste and some healthy fat. We're going to start off with a whisk and a bowl and see if we can blend it like that. But depending how thick your coconut oil is, you may need to melt it. When I scooped this out of the jar, it was still scoopable and a little bit soft. But if it's really hard, depending if the weather's really cold or your kitchen's cold, you may need to put it in a pot and melt it a little. So let's start out and see how we do. That's 1/2 cup of softened coconut oil. I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup of my almond butter. Then we're adding a 1/2 cup of our carob powder. That was a 1/2 teaspoon of liquid stevia. And we're gonna use 1/8 teaspoon of sea salt. All right, so I'm just getting all of this off of my whisk here, and I'm gonna switch to a fork. So if this happens to you, you can either switch to a food processor, or like I said, you can lightly melt the coconut oil in a saucepan to just get it a little bit more liquid, but we're persevering here, guys. So it looks like a fork is the way to go here. We have a nice smooth mixture, and now we're going to press it into our pan. So once you have your mixture nice and smooth like this, you're gonna transfer it into a loaf pan. This is a small glass loaf pan that's lined with parchment paper. I believe it's 8 by 4 inches. So I'm going to just scoop this in there now. Of course, we have to do quality assurance here and just taste test. It's so good, you will not even miss the sugar in this recipe. Before you pop that in the fridge, you'll want to top it off with your almond butter topping. So we're going to mix 2 tablespoons of coconut oil with 2 tablespoons of almond butter. Stir it together. If you like, you can add a drop or 2 of stevia sweetener here too. The idea is just to get this nice and uniform and smooth. Again, if this is too thick and you need to soften it a little bit, just lightly warm it on the stove until it's nice and smooth, and you can drop it easily onto the surface of your fudge. Then you can take a toothpick and just do some little swirls to get it moving around in there. So the idea is that you want to get it kind of marbleized. So my daughter Anya is here to see if this is a kid-friendly recipe. If it passed the kid test, you know it's good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to help me sprinkle on the flaked sea salt?
Yeah.
So this set in the refrigerator for about an hour or so until it got a nice firm texture. Now we're going to sprinkle all over with the flaked sea salt. That's great, honey. It's so nice to involve kids in cooking and recipes. They really are a lot more likely to try things if they help to make them. You're doing great. You want to put a little bit over here? This just gives a nice contrast of flavors. Think about like a peanut butter cup, that kind of salty, almost savory thing with the sweet. So good. All right, that's pretty good, honey. All right, now we're going to cut it. And then we're going to taste it. Oh boy. Now this is still a little soft, you know, as it sits in the refrigerator, it's gonna get even firmer. We're probably rushing it a little bit out of the desire to try it. All right, you ready to try this?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. The nice thing about the parchment paper is it helps it to come out a little easier. Look at this. Oh my goodness.
I'm not good at it.
Like I said, it's still a little bit soft there in the center, but you know, as it sits in the refrigerator, it'll really harden up. So let's taste it and see. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
Is it yummy? You got a thumbs up. That's a good sign. Can mommy taste some?
Yeah.
Really? You're sharing? Oh my goodness. The answer is usually no, so this is unique. Wow. Oh, it's so good. You guys are gonna love this recipe. What do you think, Anya? Are they gonna love it?
Yeah.
So I help you and your family enjoy this healthy recipe for keto fudge.